you need to get paid to speak. And let me make sure this is streaming in all the appropriate places. Hang on one sec. I should be live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and a couple other groups on Facebook as well. So let me make sure I am streaming. Oh, and on YouTube. So I'll be on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Let me go to the chat. Okay, now. All right. So I also have to make sure that you go to, let me grab this link here. If you want to leave a comment or have any questions, whoops, let me go back here. You have to click on, if I can get it. Maybe I can't get it. A second. Invite your friends. There we go. And I will put this in the comments because I think it's just Facebook that's kind of a weirdo with Restream, or it doesn't want to show, there we go. It'll show your comment, but it won't show who's actually commenting. Like, it won't attach to your profile, so it just says like Facebook user. So if you have a question, go ahead and let me know. If you're on Facebook, who you are, click the link for Restream, give it access so I can see who is there. Okay. And it looks like I got some people hopping on here quick. So again, I'm just checking Facebook to make sure it's there. And plus, if I pull up on Facebook here, there we go. I can kind of see who's hopping on and if you have questions there. So, okay, I'll try and watch that too. So I want to go over the 5 things you need to get paid to speak. Because sometimes we think we overcomplicate things. Like, oh my gosh, it's too much to learn. I mean, there is a lot of things, but here's the main things that you need. Number 1, you need a great talk. You need to have a signature talk. Now, here's a tip. Most people have a wealth of knowledge inside of them, and so they can talk on multiple topics. But the best way to get paid gigs is to have that one signature talk, something that you are an expert in. Instead of giving them, excuse me, 10 different things to choose from, stick to one thing. And if you position that one thing properly and you have a great talk, you're going to get hired and you're going to get paid to speak. So, for example, my keynote, my signature talk is Complaint Free World / Complaint Free Business. It's the same presentation on either side, but I just position it a little bit different depending on which organization I'm talking to. So sometimes a chamber or someone who maybe is not going to pay me, they just want Complaint Free World. They want to bring value to the people that are there in their audience. Maybe they're not looking at how it can apply for their business, which obviously it can. Otherwise, I just title it Complaint Free Business, and then I steer my stories and how I'm teaching it towards corporations, associations, what those leadership teams need. So you need to have a really great signature talk, your keynote talk. Now, paid gigs are different from free gigs, obviously, besides getting paid. How you position that talk and how you format it is going to look very different. If you are giving a free talk and you're selling programs and products, you're going to format that different. You're going to tell more of like your story. You're going to go into what you're teaching. You're going to talk about different things, and then you're going to give an offer. And there's a way to format that. When you're doing a paid presentation, you're not selling from the stage. You're there to educate and inspire. So to me, there's a lot more freedom in doing it this way because there's no pressure to sell. You get paid whether there's 2 people in their audience or 2,000 people in their audience. So, but you want to create something that's impactful, inspiring, and give them some great takeaways, some good educational takeaways. But mainly, the majority of places that are paying you to speak really want to inspire their audience. So, creating that great talk. And once you have that great talk, all you really need from there is, I always put it in a Word document. It's called my copy paste document. Excuse me. I have the description of my talk, 3 to 5 takeaways, and then I have a conclusion paragraph. What is the audience going to feel like once they hear me speak? Like, your audience will leave feeling. Your audience will leave with the 21-day complaint-free challenge. And so I have that because that's a great pitch. It's a great copy-paste document for when you are applying for paid speaking gigs. So number 1 thing you need, the first thing you need is a great talk, signature talk. Number two is a website. You have to have at least a landing page. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to have a ton of stuff on it. It just needs to have your information. It needs to have a great headshot of you. If you've got one of you on stage speaking, perfect. What I would say do, if you're not sure how you want to format your website, look at other speakers' websites. So it can be very simple. You could have like a graphic at the top, maybe a picture of you speaking, maybe your headshot, and then you go into your talk descriptions. You put in that description. What's your talk title, your description? Have people heard you speak before? Do you have testimonials? It doesn't have to be complicated. Um, so your website can be very kind of generic. If I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy fancy, but go out and look at other speakers. And a way you can do this, because obviously celebrity speakers their websites are going to look different than somebody who's not a celebrity. My advice is go to places where, like speaker agencies, such as like Speaker Hub, eSpeakers, places like that, where people list their profile and their website. So I would go there. I would type in like my topic or my niche of, maybe it's communication, leadership, whatever that is. Scroll through some of the speakers and then go and find their website. Look at what they have on their websites. That's a great like jumping off spot if you're not sure where to start. Most people, when you're starting the speaking business, you don't have the funds yet to hire someone to create your website, and that's okay. Just start with something. It does not have to be perfect. As long as you have the key components that they need on your website, that's all that really matters. And you can improve as you start making money as a speaker. You can then hire out. You can then upgrade your website. There's platforms like Wix. You can have a free landing page or very inexpensive. I think you can get a Wix domain or a Wix website for like $17 a month. So, I mean, it's not super expensive to have just a quick landing page website for people to go to. One thing though that I will say that you should have on your website and should be your like a media kit, somewhere to go to get your downloadables. And what I mean by this is when somebody hires you to speak, there's certain things that they're going to need from you. They're going to need a headshot if they're going to announce it to their group or their organization, put it on a program. They need your headshot. They need your talk title and description, the 3 to 5 takeaways. They might need your bio, so if they're going to read a bio. So those are things that you're going to want to have that's easily accessible. Now, a lot of people used to do like a one sheet or a one page. I've never used one. I feel like I don't know, I feel like they're pretty outdated, and I've spoke about this before. I would rather send an event planner a clickable link so that they can go to that link, and it's basically set up like a link tree, where you have these links that go to a PDF or a Word document where the information that's there is easily copied and pasted. Because if they're looking for your talk title, description, your key takeaways, your bio, they're likely going to be copying and pasting that. And I think on a one sheet, like a PDF, downloadable PDF, it's kind of clunky for them to download it, try and expand it, try and pull the information off of it. I don't like them. And so I've never in 7 years used a one page. Like I said, I think it's easier to have a link. They can go into that as many times as they want to. They don't have to really download anything. And then they can get your headshot, your bio, those talk descriptions, everything they need. If you have tech requirements, that's something else too. Your tech requirements are things like, do you need a laptop for a slideshow? Do you have a microphone preference? Do you prefer to have an ear microphone, the one that goes around your ear and has a little microphone here, a lavalier, which clips onto your clothes, or a handheld? And those are things you can put into, that tech request in your media kit. So having that for your website, and again, I think Linktree is pretty inexpensive as well. I think there's a free version, and I think there's also like a $5 a month one. So it's not super expensive at all to get these things together. So you need a great talk, you need a website, and really, I mean, website / media kit, because those kind of go together. So we're going to keep that as number 2. Number 3, footage of you speaking. So when somebody wants to hire you, they want to see you. They want to see how you speak. And it's just kind of social proof that you have spoken in front of an audience. Now, the speakers I train kind of get tripped up on this. They're like, but I haven't been on a big stage yet. That's okay. What you can do a Zoom. Record yourself speaking on a Zoom. You can then either hire somebody to create a speaker reel from that presentation, just do your presentation like you would to an audience. Then they can cut pieces out of that. Or, there are websites that, excuse me, again, if you're starting out as a speaker and you don't have the budget to hire professionals for these things, if you're willing, there's a way to learn this stuff. So there are certain sites like, uh, is it Movado? And then I also use another one. Shoot, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. It is called Wondershare Filmora. So those two, I taught myself how to use it. There's tutorials on YouTube, and I just figured out how to basically cut footage. So I would record myself on a Zoom. I'd upload it into Wondershare, and then I would click it in. I put it in. Maybe I'll even do a tutorial on this for someone just starting out sometime. But it's not hard to do, and it's as long as there's proof, and the video really only needs to be 1 to 3 minutes long. That's it for a speaker reel, for footage of you speaking. That's all they're going to watch. So you don't need a 60-minute presentation, a 15-minute presentation. You just need a 1 to 3 minute video of you speaking. And this is where the pandemic kind of did speakers a big favor, because it is a lot more acceptable now to show you sitting somewhere. Make sure it's a clean background, maybe a bookcase, plain wall. Green screens can be tricky because sometimes when if you're moving around, you might miss an arm if you don't have a really great setup, a professional like green screen. So I tend to shy away from green screens. Just make sure you have a clean background, where it's not, mine's a little distracting because that's who I am, but I don't do a whole lot of like paid speaking virtually anymore. So make sure it's just a nice background. It's not super distracting. Your front and center, your eyes should be above the midline, because like the middle of my video is right here. So you should be kind of in the middle of the top of your screen. You see what I mean? So like if the middle of the screen is here, the top is here, going to come down to the middle. So I should be sitting up maybe a little more. I have big hair. But you want your eyes in this spot here. Okay. So you don't want to be sitting like way down here, you want to make sure that you are front and center. Your eyes are halfway between the top and the middle, and you're speaking directly to. Now, there is a website called Descript. I just learned about this. I don't know how to use it yet. But if you're like me, I tend to look all like I'm talking, and I tend to my eyes go everywhere, right? If you're recording, you can download your video into Descript, and there's an option where it'll still watch your blinking when you're blinking, but it keeps your eyes front and center. So even though during your presentation, your eyes were all over the place, it's really cool. And it does not look like robotic or anything. So I think I might actually try that, because I tend to look all around as I'm talking, and I talk with my hands a lot. Um, so you need a great talk. You need a website, plain website with your media kit. You need footage of you speaking. Now, number 4 is the big one. You need a system to find and book paid speaking gigs. So you need to have some sort of a way to find speaking engagements, places where you can go and find them, how to either collect the information, websites, contact information. Um, Maybe it's a way to find requests for proposals or the call for speakers, where they have a form you fill out. And then you have to have a way of booking those. You have to have systems in place. Because if you just willy-nilly it, you're going to willy-nilly yourself right out of paid speaking gigs if there's not a system, because you have to have a way to contact them and a way to follow up. And something I've learned, because when I first started out, I was applying to 50 to 100 speaking engagements a week, and I did not have a great follow-up. And I probably lost a lot of engagements because of that, because there is a lot of magic that happens in that follow-up. So you send that first email out, you don't hear back. Well, if I applied to 75 speaking engagements last week, and if I don't have a great way of tracking that to see if they've opened it, if they've responded, to go back and resend another email and follow up a week later and, you know, whatever that looks like. So you need a system to find and book. Excuse me. You need to know what to say. I have a system that I use that works for me. There's speakers that I've talked to that use a completely different system and it works for them. So you have to find what works for you. So finding and booking, knowing what to say, what not to say, and and I'm learning. This is a business that is always evolving. It's changed so much since I started in 2017. When I started speaking then, it's changed. Obviously, the pandemic changed things, and now we're in this different. We're shifting again. So when we talk about finding paid speaking gigs, I want you to think about this. A lot of people think, there's so many speakers out there, and you will get some imposter syndrome if you go out to eSpeakers, Speaker Hubs, or any of those type of profile websites or agencies. You're going to get scared because you're going to think the market is oversaturated with speakers. And you might be right. But something that I don't think people think about is that with as many speakers as there are more speaking opportunities. So I keep reading about the speaking industry and how they're predicting for 2024 that opportunities are going to skyrocket. And here's why. And here's what I think is happening. So pre-COVID, right, we had in-person speaking engagements here, and Zoom was like, nobody was doing Zoom back then. It was way down here. And then the pandemic hit, and what happened? No one was doing in person or very small, and then Zoom went up here. And we're kind of getting to that spot now where in person is really starting to raise. People are getting back into it. So what they're predicting is that 2024 is going to do this. This one's not going away. Zoom's not going away. And some conferences are doing one in person and one on Zoom. We're talking like big conferences, and they're hiring speakers for them. So that's basically doubling the amount of possible events that are out there. So if you just do a quick Google search, it's hard to find really accurate numbers, but if you go out there and just say, how many events bring in speakers on a monthly, daily, yearly average, you're going to get some big numbers. And I think the one I pulled up, and I forget what the number was. It was big though. It was like 1.8 million events or something. And when you think about that, people are actively looking for speakers now. I mean, there's events like hundreds of thousands of events every single day. So it's not that hard to find them. You could do a call for speakers, do a Google search, go to social media, go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook. In the search bar, type call for speakers. And you're going to find a call for speakers of things that you can actually apply for. Are they all paying? Probably not. But this is a great jumping off point. But you have to have a system in place to reach out and to follow up and then to book them. Okay, so number 1 is a great talk. Number 2 is your website and media kit. 3 is footage of you speaking. 4 is a system to find and book. And 5, to seal the deal, you need a good contract and you need an invoicing system. So you have to have a contract. And it's just something that you're going to either have to hire somebody to do. I mean, there are generic contracts you can find if you Google them, but I would always recommend you talk to a lawyer or somebody who knows the legals of, your speaking business and what you want to do. But make sure you have a contract in place. Invoicing system, you can go through Square, PayPal. There's different invoicing systems out there. I use Square. But there has to be a way for you to, not everyone's going to pay electronically, but not everyone's going to pay by check either. So, I mean, even if you could print out an invoice and mail it, email it, some places will mail you a check and some places will pay right online. But what you also need to be able to do is take that 50% down payment before you even book, or not before, but that's what seals the deal. Until you get the signed contract and you get 50% down for that speaking gig, you don't put it on your calendar. So contract and invoice, make sure those things are set up. Make sure you're getting 50% down. That's the industry standard to book your date. Excuse me. Now, in my contract, it says that the other half of the money that's due is due before I walk on stage. Now, as much as this would be ideal, it's not always possible because some associations, government sectors, or agencies, they have to go through a lot of channels. So sometimes I get a check after the fact. But you, again, that's all in the contract, and usually it's a conversation you're going to have anyways beforehand. So that's step 5. So you need a great talk, a signature talk. Make sure you're the expert in one area that stands out. Because if you have 12 different things, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none, because that's what it looks like. So you have to have a signature talk. You have to have at least a basic landing page and your media kit. You need to have footage of you speaking. It can be just a Zoom. You need a system defined in book, and you need a contract and invoice. Now, because 2024 is going to skyrocket with events and people are going to be looking for paid speakers, now is the time to get all of those things in order. And what I did was, and I've been doing this boot camp now for about a year, is it's a 3-day boot camp. So on day 1, we find what your signature talk is and how to shift it for those paid gigs. So let's say you talk about leadership, maybe not leadership, communication mindset, right? And maybe you've been doing that on a free stage, talking and selling programs and products. There's a way to shift your message so that it applies to the corporate and association setting where they'll pay you to come in and just share your knowledge because you already have the information you need to talk about, what's going to get you paid on stage. You already have that information and that knowledge. You just have to figure out how to package it in order to get people to pay you for it. And that's what we do on day 1. We talk about shifting your message. We hone in on your signature talk. We talk about how to format your talk. Day 2 is about finding and booking. So I give you my email system of how I reach out and get responses, sometimes immediately. Sometimes when I reach out, I'll get an email right back like, oh, okay, here you go. So I'm going to give you my system of how to find and book speaking engagements. And we're going to talk about invoicing and contracts and all of that. Then on day 3, you're going to record footage for your speaker reel because we know we need it. So you're going to present to the group that's in that boot camp. And depending on, I always make sure this is only up to 10 people because within group setting, you're going to get individual coaching as well. So you're going to prepare, right? We'll talk about that on day 1. You'll start writing, a short talk, nothing long, between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how many people are there. You're going to prepare just some snippets because these are the things that you need to show up on a speaker reel. And so you're going to present to the group. And then what's going to happen is everyone who's there is going to give you a testimonial from what they heard. So now you have all the things that you need to get started as a paid speaker, and you have footage of you speaking, and now you have testimonials of people who actually heard you speak. And this can all go on your website, and you can get started. And so when 2024 hits, you are ready to rock and roll. And you're going to start, and we'll talk about how much to charge as well. So I give you advice on where I think you should start, and for me, I would say minimum you should be charging at least $1,500 for a 60-minute talk. Now, that's speaking like within driving distance. That's not traveling out of state where it's going to cost you that much just for airline and all that. And we'll talk about how to package everything for you, about how much to charge, what do you do about travel, hotel accommodations. We'll talk about all that. So here's the cool thing, right? So if you're charging $1,500 for one keynote, how many keynotes would you want to do in a month at the minimum rate? 1,500, right? But there's a lot of, so somebody who's not a celebrity, I would say should be charging between $2,500 to $7,500. So not everyone's got that budget, so that's why I always say 1,500 is a jumping off spot. But if you were to do 2 of those a month, that's $3,000 extra a month for you. And that's at the lowest amount. That's $1,500. Now, let's say you do, a couple months of that. And then you're like, what? I think I can get more. I think I'm going to charge $2,500. And you book 2 of those. Could you use an extra $5,000 a month? I know I could. So the paid speaker bootcamp is coming up November 15th through 17th. Those 3 days, we're going to get you up and running with your speaking business, and you're going to be able to rock and roll in 2024. And the thing is for your return on investment, it's only $9.97. So one speaking gig is going to cover the cost of this 3-day boot camp. And what I'm doing right now is if you enter coupon code SPEAK, SPEAK, you get $200 off. But I'm only running this for the next 24 hours. So if you're watching this, you have until tomorrow this time to jump in. And the website is paidspeakingbootcamp.com. So let me put that in the comments here. So hold on. I should have had the link ready to go for you. Okay, paid speaking bootcamp.com. So there's your link. So go to the link, use coupon code SPEAK and get $200 off. And you're going to make that money back in your first speaking gig. So I'm excited. I love doing this boot camp. We've had a lot of successful clients that are already getting paid. One client got, within the first month of her boot camp, got a $2,500 speaking gig. And I've had more clients coming to me like, oh my gosh, I just got another one, or I got one, so I'm getting lots of clients who have gone through this, the paid speaker boot camp, getting paid gigs and have already made all their money back. So that's exciting to say and have that proof that people are actually getting paid because they have the right systems in place. They have their talk, they have their website, their footage, they have the systems, the contracts and invoices, and you can do this too. That's the great part, is you can absolutely do this. So if you're not ready to jump in, shoot me an email. If you want to have a call with me really quick, we can do like a 30-minute talk and see if you're ready. Maybe you don't know if you're ready. Maybe you're not sure if the talk that you already have, information you already have, the knowledge you have, is something that can be shifted. And so we can have a conversation about that to make sure you're ready. So I feel like I covered a lot of stuff in a little bit of time. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this quick pop-up surprise masterclass. I will see you all.